Hello, this is Sarah from This Girl Sews. Today I'm going to be sewing some sequin fabric. Now I know it's February and most people think of sequins and they think of Christmas. I wear sequins a lot of the time, so I'm wearing sequins today, a pair of joggers. This is the fabric that I have, this lovely green aqua sequin. It's non-stretch, although it has got a little bit of give. It's basically our sequins on mesh. So the mesh is see-through and then there's sequins on one side, and obviously it's a little bit rough on the other side. So to compensate that, I'm going to be lining it with this green jersey, so it's stretchy. So what's my plan? Well, I have this very, very old sequin ASOS sequin skirt, and I'm planning a skirt like this. So slightly A-line, I would say, elasticated waist, fully lined, and sort of ankle length. So that's what I'm planning for the skirt. So let's get started. I'm going to start by copying this ASOS skirt. So I need to take some measurements of this skirt. So if I stretch the elastic out to the fullest extent, that's going to be the minimum width of fabric that I need. Tapering down to the bottom, which is slightly wider. So it's going to be two trapeze sort of shapes of fabric. So it's going to be the width at the waist, then the width at the bottom, and then the length of the fabric. So I'll end up with two slightly trapeze shapes of fabric, one for the front, one for the back, and then I'll cut exactly the same in the lining in exactly the same size, and then sew up the side seams on both, sew the waist, and sew the lining to the sequins, and then put elastic in the lining and do the hems. So let's get started. So to take the pattern from the original skirt, I just need to measure the waist. So basically stretch the elastic out as far as it will go, and then measure one side, and then you'll basically double it up. So one front and back will be the same measurement, obviously, on the waist. Then measure the bottom measurement for the bottom of the skirt, so you know how wide you want the bottom of the skirt, like that. And then the length of the skirt, just make sure it's not stretched out. The length of the skirt from the centre back, and that's the measurements that you need. So we now transfer those measurements onto two pieces of the sequin fabric and also two pieces of the lining fabric, so that we end up with four pieces, two for the main body and two for the lining, and then we sew them identically. So now for the lining. So now we have the skirt, front and back. Put them right sides together. And the lining, front and back. Again, right sides together. They're ready to sew. So first of all, I'm just loading the bobbin up with some matching thread to the fabric and loading the machine as well. And then we're going to start by sewing the side seams of the sequin fabric together. So just using a 1 centimetre seam allowance, I sew down basically both sides to sew the back and the front pieces together. So make sure your right sides are together, and then just sew both the side seams until the back and the front are secured together. Once you've done both the outer pieces, or in my case the sequin fabric, I then overlocked the edges just to tidy it up so that sequins didn't go everywhere. And then I sewed the jersey lining together with the overlocker, just for speed really. You can do that on the normal machine if you prefer. So sewing the side seams and overlock the side seams of the sequins, and exactly the same on the lining. I've just overlocked the lining there. So what you need to do is turn your sequins inside out and then slip the lining up inside the sequins so that the right side of the lining is facing the right side of the sequins, and line up the side seams. So from the outside you should be able to see your overlocked lining and your overlocked sequins. So you need to pin that all the way around the waist, so the shorter of the two edges, lining up the side seams on both sides, and then just sew around the top with a centimetre seam allowance, and then you need to turn it in the right way. So now I've sewn both the side seams on both the skirts and then sewn around the waist. What you need to do now is turn the skirt in the right way. So turn the lining to the inside. And that should be on the seam you've just sewn all around the waist. There. And what you need to do then is look at your elastic. I'm using quite wide elastic for the waistband. And then I need to basically make sure that is at the top, like that. You don't want to see any of the lining. And then measure down and then mark where you need the width for your elastic. And then I'm going to mark all the way around the waistline on the inside so that I've got a stitching line, so that I know the elastic is going to go all the way through and not get caught. So next thing to do is basically on the lining, so if we just turn the lining to the outside, sew another row of stitching. So you're sewing a tube, excuse my cat just walked in front of the thing. So you're sewing another, so making the tube here, you need to leave it open about 5 or so centimetres just at one side so that you can actually thread the elastic from between the layers up into the waistband to form the waistband. So next thing to just sew around the waistband to form the tube for the elastic. What I'm going to do is actually just pin just to hold the fabric in place so that you don't end up with like big bits and little bits, and it's all basically the same. So I just want to hold the 2 layers of fabric in the same place all the way around, then draw a line all the way around that I can stitch on to make the elastic channel. So I've got my Crayola washable pen, super tipped pen. So now I'm just going to mark how wide I want the channel to fit the elastic through. So just leave a little bit of a gap at the top, about 1/2 centimetre, and then you can just draw along the elastic. As long as you don't go any narrower than this, you know that you'll be able to fit the elastic into the channel. And you should end up with quite a straight line as well. And obviously remember to leave a gap at the side. So if you just mark the gap like that, you'll remember to leave the gap. So next you need to get your elastic and measure it around your waist. Obviously put it around your waist. I wouldn't stretch it at this stage, just put it around and fit it around your waist, because you can always shorten it, but it's much more difficult to lengthen it. So then get a safety pin and just attach your elastic to your safety pin. So you're going to go up between the layers, so find the side that you have the gap in, and then go up between the sequin and the lining layer, and then thread your elastic into the gap there. So, and then you're going to thread it all the way around the waist through the channel. So once you've got your elastic through, just secure off the ends with the pin to start with, and then try on your skirt. Sorry, excuse my cat. Try on your skirt just to check that it's the right length before you actually cut it off and secure it. Just try it on just to make sure that it's the right length before you actually finish it off. So once you've threaded the elastic through, it will look something like this. So then what you need to do then is the gap that you threaded the elastic into is just stitch along to close up the gap. What I would do then is just make sure the gathers are even all the way around the waist, and then just put a row of stitching up the side there, sewing everything including the elastic. Same on the other side, and the same on the middle of the back and the middle of the front. This will stop the elastic moving and twisting, so it will keep it flat, but you'll still have obviously the same amount of stretch. So I've now just caught both the sides, the centre front and the centre back, and actually put a little label in there as well so that I know which is the back. Because obviously the back and the front are going to be the same, so you won't know which is which. Not that it matters because they're the same. So last thing to do now is just to hem it. What I'm going to do is just overlock around the bottom of the sequins and then turn up one layer of lining so it's not too bulky. I'm going to cut maybe 4 centimetres off the bottom of the lining, and then do the same, just overlock it and then just turn it up. And then the lining shouldn't show beneath the skirt when you're wearing it. So this is my finished skirt and top. I did actually take the skirt in very slightly because it was a little bit too loose. But as you can see, it's full length, elasticated waist, and just looks really cool. So that's part 1 of how to make the elasticated waist skirt. Don't forget to have a look at part 2, which is going to be how to make the sequin top. Please like the video below if you like it, and obviously follow me if you want to get alarms for future videos as well. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon. Bye.